the Washington Commanders end the Baltimore Ravens 24-game preseason win streak, and Sam Howell is starting to win Stoner over. It's a reckoning. Let's go. Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Ref the District's Day After Reckoning. I'm Nathan Perry. That's the Stoner. We are Ref the District on the Believe Network, bringing you all the great content for your DC sports, especially those Washington Commanders, those streak enders. It was just a few years ago that they ended the Pittsburgh Steelers 11-0 undefeated streak. Then it was last year with Philadelphia being 10-0 that they end that. And now the 24-game win streak for Baltimore has been ended by these upstart Washington Commanders. Stoner, let's get your initial reactions over this 29-28 victory for the Commanders.
It's a lot to take in. There's a lot going on in that game for a measly second boring preseason game, man. It was a pretty exciting game. It was a fun game. It was filled with highlights. And usually preseason games are a lot of lowlights, but this had a lot of highlights. The energy in the stadium was really high. You had the owner there. You had Coach Gibbs there. You had a lot of alumni there. And then the first team offense playing the entire first half, which I did not expect. But overall, I think it was just an enjoyable preseason game to watch, especially when you know that the Commanders won the game in the end, which means nothing. We totally get it. It has no bearing on what's going to happen in the regular season, but it was still just fun to win a game.
It was also the first home game for Josh Harris. It was the, up north team and their rowdy fans who they really, really loved that win streak. You're right. It's preseason. None of it matters, but that did kind of matter, is to be able to shut them up, because there was a lot of discourse over this. They really loved it. We said it doesn't really matter. Yeah. Ravens fans came out of the woodwork saying it does matter. And now that, Baltimore lost and Washington won, now all of a sudden it's like, it's preseason. It doesn't matter anymore. Right. Oh, okay. We see you, Ravens fans. We see you. Ravens
when the team was winning a bunch of games and they were pulling out some games at the end and they were celebrating and having a good time. Oh, yeah. It was a big deal then. But now when you lose, it wasn't no big deals for preseason. Come on now. You wanted to win that game so you could hold it over our heads for another year.
Oh, and by far the players knew it too. You got Sam Cosme just doing the grist-me out there after Nick Gates pummels a player. It was quite contentious. You mentioned about the starters playing the entire first half. I'd love to see it. They did quite well. They ended the halves up 17-14. Great 2-minute drill that we're going to watch later. Sam Howell, talk of the town, talk of the nation right now. A lot of people, this was their first look. Monday Night Football is a national game.
Yes.
A lot of national eyes there got to see Sam Howell, and most of them came around to being a howler. How about you, Stoner?
Yeah, the spotlight was on Washington. It was on Washington. It was not on Washington and Baltimore. The entire world was watching. Ooh, who's this new owner? Ooh, who's this new quarterback? Ooh, who's this new offensive coordinator? Who are all these weapons all of a sudden? And then everybody got to see what it was all about, and everything that happened put us in a good light. I mean, Josh Harris was a little quirky there when he was in the booth with Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, but still it was just the spotlight was on Washington, and it was all positive, everything that came out of it. And of course it all comes down to what we all talk about day in and day out, and that's the quarterback. And Sam Howell, I don't care who he was playing against, he showed himself very well. He played very well. If it's the second and third teamers, fine. That's who he had to play against. If he had done terrible, then we'd be killing him.
Oh, absolutely. Right? Would have gotten murdered if
he showed out, Nathan, and he showed that he's capable of having this job and taking over as the starter, hopefully for years to come. So let's put all that to rest. I was not a howler. I did not like the pick in the first place. We talked about
right
it
away. You
before the
hated
draft.
it. You hated it. I loved it. I was like, this is a
Yeah.
great value pick.
Yeah,
here.
no, before the draft, because we even talked about it, because there was these rumors out there that Washington was going to take him like in the second round. Now, if they'd taken him in the second round, that'd have been a different story because, second round is a lot higher than fifth round. Obviously, there's a whole story behind all that. But I didn't even want him to take him in the fifth round because I didn't want this guy hanging over this team for year and a half or whatever. But here he is. He's proven that he can do the job, and we'll see how it translates to the regular season when you're playing the Eagles and you're playing the Giants and you're playing the Buffalo Bills in week number 3, I believe, right?
Yeah.
That's when it's gonna count. He's gonna stumble. He's gonna have some rough games and all, but I'm a howler, Nathan. I'm a howler. I can't help it.
There we go.
I'm in. I'm 100% in. I've done a complete 180 on him. I'm 100% in.
You're right about the stumbles, and that's the thing I want to make sure even us howlers, know, right? As it's like he's going to have probably a bad game, not just a bad series, just a bad game. It's going to be in there, and you have to stick with him. You have to know that he is still developing, but he definitely has the tools. We talked about this during our live stream. There's some sacks that he's taken that he shouldn't be taking. There's some times where he's holding onto the ball too long, or he should be throwing it away, and he's trying to force something. He needs these reps. He got those reps in this game against Baltimore. Love to see it. And you're right. Most of the things going around this game were very, very positive. There is one very specific thing that was not positive until today. And that was the injury of Terry McLaurin, who was furious to be taken off of the field as the team is trying again to drive here in the 2-minute warning. Terry McLaurin gets rolled up on. Initial fears were that it was his ankle. Looked like it was going to be a toe injury. What's the injury update here for Terry McLaurin?
Well, of course, at the stadium last night, he did have an x-ray, which was negative, but so that was the first good sign. Today, he did have an MRI to check on the ligaments, and the MRI came back negative as well. So there is a possibility that he'll be ready for week 1. This is where that dreaded 2 weeks until the regular season, or the 2-week break until the regular season, that we all hate as fans, but this is where it's going to help Terry. Now we have 3 weeks, of course, because there's another preseason game, but usually it's only 1 week. So now he's got a full 3 weeks to rest it, to heal it, to take care of it and all that. But, I'm going to be very cautious about it. I think he will probably miss a game or two because this turf toe, these things are no joke. So I would expect him. That's just a prediction. I don't have any inside information or anything. I expect he'll probably miss a couple weeks, but he's tough. He's tough. He's not some guy who's just going to milk this. So
no, he was an absolute, like I said, competitor. He got mad that the team saw that he was limping and they pulled him off and said, no, you are our bell cow. We are not going to throw you out here in this meaningless game.
So you think he was mad?
Not happy with.
You think he was mad because they took him off, or he was mad because he got hurt?
Probably both. Probably a mixture of both. It definitely looked like he was yelling at some people on the sidelines,
right?
When it came to what was going on there, it didn't seem so. That to me shows that he was he was very passionate about wanting to get back out there, and then of course he's mad about being injured at all. Right? You don't want to get any. You don't have any injuries here in the preseason. Dyami Brown, another notable one that was taken off the field, fears of concussion. How did that turn out, Stoner?
Yeah, they cleared him during the game, so he was able to come back into the game if they wanted to put him back in, but of course they weren't going to, especially after the whole Terry deal, right? But they weren't going to risk Dyami, because if Terry does miss games and Dyami moves up a spot to being a every down type receiver, so they were going to play it cautious with him. I didn't like the hit. It was kind of a cheap shot. The guy went right for his head.
It was very much a cheap shot from Kelly, I believe.
Yeah, and Kelly seemed to play like the entire game. He was involved in a lot of plays in the first and second half. So cheap shot, didn't like it. Got my eye on that dude.
All right.
Kelly.
Well, how about
That
some
much.
of those players that did not play? What are the expectations for them? We got one more preseason game coming up. Are we going to see the likes of Logan Thomas, Charles Leno? Wiley only played one series. What's
Mhm.
going on with them? What are the expectations there with some of those players who didn't even suit up? Jonathan Allen being another notable one with
Yeah.
a toe or foot injury. What's
Yep.
going on there?
Offensively, of course, they held out, as you said, Logan Thomas, Charles Leno, and Wiley only played the one snap from the first teamers.
Mhm.
But all of those, except Logan, I don't know if Logan would have played if this was a regular season game, but yeah, Charles would have played. Charles Leno would have played. Wiley would have played the entire game. Logan, I'm not so sure of. They're being very secretive about his calf issue, although from all reports are he's progressing. Whether or not he's ready for week one, we'll see. Defensively, they held out pretty much all of the starters except for Forbes, Jamin Davis, and Cody Barton. And some of those were injury related, and some of those were well, we really don't need to play them because Baltimore's not playing their ones on offense. Why do we need to get them in there against second teamers? They've already practiced 2 consecutive days in the prior week, so no need. But yeah, so injuries overall, the guys who didn't play, nothing serious. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. Really, the biggest injury concern right now that we have is with Logan and now, of course, Terry.
All right. Well, we're going to keep an eye on that and keep you updated as those things go on. Let's move on to the risers and fallers. This is going to just be this preseason kind of segment here, as that's what this is really all about, right? We need to see guys who are trying to make that go for the 53, and who are those guys who are playing them out of a spot. We will do this separate from go-goes and no-goes, which are kind of our good guys and our bad guys there at for the game. But more specifically, who did something this time, Stoner, in this game against Baltimore to kind of solidify themselves a spot on the 53?
Well, I think there's a couple of guys. And first of all, Cole Turner, for the second consecutive preseason game, showed that he can be the number one tight end if needed. Or he could just be the number one tight end, period. Not even if Logan's healthy. He might be tight end one if Logan is healthy.
Yeah.
So I thought he was a riser in this game because his blocking has significantly improved. And of course, his pass catching has always been there. And then another riser to me was, again, Andre Jones Jr., the edge rusher, the 7th round rookie out of Louisiana. He just continues to pop, whether it's against 1s or 2s or 3s or whatever. I think last night he got himself a spot on the roster at the expense of somebody else. It's going to be, maybe a James Smith-Williams, who, by the way, was playing with the 3s last night. He was playing in the 4th quarter. He's supposed to be your backup. So keep an eye on that. And then also a guy that I have been very critical of. Sadiq Charles went out there with the 1s for the entire first half with the 1s, and I thought he played extremely well.
Yeah.
So he's a riser for me as well, because last week I had him off the team. So this week I've got him as a starter. So as a riser.
Yeah, I think if he stays healthy, that is definitely his spot. I do think Chris Paul has done well, and we haven't really seen anything bad from Chris Paul. We haven't dissected it too much, but Sadiq Charles is playing very well out there at left guard. And I think that's definitely his position as long as he's healthy. So good for him. My riser is absolutely going to be with you on that Cole Turner one. He, targeted twice, caught the ball twice. He's moving well into space. He's catching the ball as it comes to him. But more importantly, Stoner, he's starting to do the things as a tight end you need him to do. He's setting blocks. He's motioning, and he's putting himself in the position to help the team out wherever he's needed, and that is absolutely pivotal. That's why I agree with you that that's the key riser for this game. Flip side of that is some players didn't have the best game. Who would you list as your fallers for this game?
I've got a few of them. I've got a few of them, Nathan. I mean, there's the obvious ones like Jacoby Brissett did not play well. I don't think he's falling necessarily in terms of his position. He's QB2. He's not QB3. Fromm did not take that job from him last night. Don't worry about that. but he's fallen a little bit in that he did not have a good game. Wild Goose was exposed again. He continues to be exposed against.
He was picked on by both
backups.
Josh Johnson and Anthony Brown Jr.
Yeah.
Both were just targeting him left and right.
Yep, I'm afraid he might have played himself off of the roster as well, but we'll see. They still got another preseason game,
and we've heard he's had a good camp. So it's just
correct.
The fact that he's getting beat out here in the preseason games. You wonder what is not translating. Of course, that's Danny Johnson normally in those positions. Danny Johnson having to sit this game out thanks to Mark Andrews. Now Wild Goose gets out there and just does not take the care of this opportunity.
Yep. The guy who was in the running for District Diamond, which is Mason Brooks, the undrafted, the preferred undrafted free agent. I think that's what they call him, right? He got 2 snaps, and both of them were on special teams.
One of them on the game-winning kick, though.
Okay. All right. Good for him. Good. I mean, that means he's falling because he's not even getting runs with the 3s. Why is he not getting runs?
There was certainly a lot of names out there on the line that we kept looking and we're like, wait, that's not Brooks. And we're at like the 4th or 6th even guard at this point. We're like, should be seeing Mason Brooks out there a little bit more. But I did notice he was the one who was congratulating Slye. I think I'm going to go back to the initial reaction. Yeah, that's Mason Brooks.
Oh,
for those watching this on YouTube, Mason Brooks is the one running with Joey Slye after the field goal.
Wow. A couple others that I think did not help themselves out any, and that's Curtis Hodges. Had a couple of plays that he could have made but didn't.
Sure.
It doesn't mean he's no good or anything, but he's fighting for a roster spot, and I thought he missed a couple of opportunities. And same with Mitchell Tinsley, who we've heard great things about all camp, and he had a couple of chances to make plays and did not come down with the ball.
Yeah, Tinsley targeted 5 times, only caught 2 of them. And Hodges was targeted 3 times, only came down with the ball once. You got to make use of those opportunities. And I know some of those were tough catches.
Tough catches.
But if the ball hits your hands, nobody is going to look at that going, okay, yeah, you were in full extension or anything like that. That you have to be able to bring down that ball. Yeah, I'm going to go with you on Wild Goose is falling, and he's falling pretty hard. This was an opportunity for him to really take and solidify a spot on this roster ahead of some of the other guys. He's in a battle with not just Danny Johnson, but Christian Holmes, Castro Fields. You didn't even hear Castro Fields' name called. And usually that's a good thing if you're a defensive back. And Wild Goose was just getting picked on left and right. We didn't mention him in the risers. I'm looking at his picture here on the rundown. As a riser, he kind of had a mixed game, Stoner. So let's talk about number 20 here. Quan Martin, 2nd overall pick. He ended up
second round pick.
Correct. Sorry. And then so this is a guy who was much maligned after the Cleveland game. How did he do this game? Obviously, big moment for him with the pick, bringing it back 50 yards. But how else did he perform?
Well, there were a few plays I noticed him in a negative way, in that he was just not putting himself in position to make plays, and when he got into position, didn't make plays. He missed on the Zay Flowers touchdown, the first drive, I believe it was. First of all, he got beat on the route, which is fine. That happens.
Zay Flowers is special. You can do that to people.
Yep, absolutely. And when he came up to make the tackle, he just whiffed. He just completely whiffed, and the effort was a little bit lacking, or he was just worried that Zay was going to juke him so bad, and Zay just kind of went right by him. So not great. I mean, you get Zay Flowers in the open space and you're in trouble, but you're a 2nd round pick. You're not some slouch 6th round guy who's fighting for the end of the roster spot. You're a backup and a sometimes starter. So I didn't think he played especially well, but that interception was great. He didn't give up. He got beat. He didn't give up, and he made a play. And that was a big time play that he made on that interception. So happy he was able to redeem himself and make that play.
Yep, good to go. Hopefully we continue seeing some good things out of that second round pick for Washington as we go along. Probably going to get a lot of time against Cincinnati, and hopefully he develops his skill. We'll talk about him after that game, I'm sure. Let's move on to the drive of the game, Stoner. This was one that was kind of, we talked about it on stream. We're like, if Washington is able to stop Baltimore, do they try to go, and throw out the first team offense? Baltimore was not stopped, Stoner.
Yeah.
Baltimore made it all the way to the end zone in like 10 seconds.
Right.
And so now it became, does Washington throw out the starters? Yeah. I said yes, and you agreed.
I said no. I said no.
Okay, you said no. Come on, at 140 or 150, you got to throw them out there.
Well, the point was that Baltimore, they didn't expect Baltimore to go straight down the field. So I thought maybe after that Washington drive that the coaches told the first team offense, shut it down. You're done because you're not going to have time. And all of a sudden they had a minute 29. So that's why I said maybe they were shut down mentally.
Yeah. Well, they were not shut down mentally, and they did things the way they were supposed to. Let's go ahead and do this film session here with the drive of the game. You break it down for us, Stoner.
All right. So first of all, on 1st and 10 here, you've got, of course, Washington down 14-10, minute 29 left.
All three timeouts. That's an eternity.
That is key. All right. So 1st and 10 from the 21-yard line, and I'm going to go ahead and hit play if I can figure out how. Hang on a second here. Yeah, here we go. So where did my tools go? Maybe I just have to go to the keyboard.
All right. So
there we go.
There we go.
So on that first down play, Howell was sacked, right? And Howell admitted later that this was his fault. And if we look at it from the first angle right here, if you start right here, Washington's got 3 receivers right and 2 left. So they got an empty backfield. And you can see that Baltimore, the way they're lining up, they've only got 2 guys covering, and then they've got this deep safety. So, Nathan, that's not how they're going to defend the play. So Sam has to be able to see that and know they're not going to leave one of these guys completely wide open. So that these defenders are going to back out and that the pressure is probably going to come from this way. You've got to slide your protection to the left, or you've got to know that this guy's going to come unblocked, and you've got to get it to your hot route. So as soon as he drops back, of course, he's got his hot route open. But because this guy came so quick and unblocked, he doesn't have the time to make the play.
Yeah, this is one that he kind of had an issue with the Browns as well, not seeing that blindside blitzer come after him. So hopefully these are the ones that you're seeing in game action now. This is Sam Howell learning. We know that this is a process for him. But yeah, after this one, we were super excited at the start of this drive to see what they can do. And this just felt deflating. And now you're yelling at me like, see, this is why they shouldn't have done it. They just weren't prepared and all that. Yeah. But let's continue on to see what the rest of this drive had for us.
This is just the other angle of it. But you see, the rest of the blocking was very good, but they just didn't move that blocking scheme over to the left. All right, so now you're at here's another play. Look at the eyes on the defender. Look at those.
Oh yeah, he got
those are Mike Singletary eyes.
He was just like, wait, I'm this wide open. I've got this free of a shot.
Yeah, right. Get out of here. We don't like you. All right, so now you've got 2nd and 17, and you've got a minute 25. So the clock kept running.
Yep, did not use one of their timeouts.
I'm just wondering. Wait a minute. Let me go back for a second. Let me go back. Baltimore used a timeout there.
They did. Reminder there that Baltimore took their timeout because they got the sack. They thought maybe this is an opportunity for them to get the ball back.
Yep, that's right. That's exactly what happened. So they took a sack. They took a timeout on the sack. All right, so now you've got 2nd and 17, and that's why the clock was stopped. Only lost 4 seconds there. And we'll hit the play button here on 2nd and 17. Howell takes a 5-step drop, jumps up into the pocket, and then scrambles out while doing what? While
Looking upfield.
consistently
Yep.
looking upfield. He did a good job on that play. I don't know if we have a replay here. We'll go back. Well, that's right. We had a holding on the defense,
which they tacked on to the run there. So that run got him back to just in front of the original line of scrimmage. But you're absolutely right here. Look, he makes, gets the back of his drop and nothing's there. He moves around the pocket and then slides out as the pressure starts getting to him.
Mm-hmm.
And he continues to look downfield. This is the only time here that he wasn't, which is when he was scrambling to try to get to the edge, and then finally looks up, still nothing there, and makes the run for it.
Mm-hmm.
Gets those extra yards. Good quality play here from Sam Howell. Nothing looked open, and he took what the defense gave him, and also smart by running out. There was a play earlier in this game where he fought for extra yards, and it was just like, no, preseason, don't get hit.
Yeah, he had pretty good protection, but nothing was available, and he bounced out, just like you said. All right, so you got a holding. So you got an automatic first down. So now you got 1st and 10, and they're at the 27-yard line, and a minute 17 left. So on this first down play, another 5-step drop, looking, and fires over the middle to Terry McLaurin.
And this is where Terry gets injured.
Is it?
Here.
That's the play, right?
That was the play where he got injured. Look at the protection here from Washington. One of the biggest concerns we had going into this game and going into the season is, will Washington's offensive line be able to hold? Now, they have a lot of heavy hitters coming up on defense, right? Philadelphia and the New York Giants both have monster lines. There's great quality, especially with Micah Parsons on the Dallas side as well. That's 6 of the games they're going to have to face where this offensive line is going to be truly tested. So it's good to see them have reps like this where they give Sam Howell time to throw. Again, I don't care who's out there. They just need to be able to handle business right now.
Yep, absolutely. And then when he had the chance, he threw a rocket right into McLaurin, who brought it in. You're right. That is the play that he got hurt. So now they let the clock run. They elected not to call a timeout here. So now you got a first down with 56 seconds left, and you're on the 40-yard line. And that's where you got a false start. Basically everybody except the center. So Nick Gates didn't have the snap count on that one.
Yeah.
Everybody moved.
Gibson being targeted by the refs on this one because he definitely fell forward first. And then you see all the laundry. That was hilarious to me. It was just like seeing everybody throw the flag.
Let's see, you got one here, you got one here, you got another one there. You got all 3 of them. So so they got a false start. And blame it on Gibson.
So this is one of those things, Stoner, that we've seen time and time again from Washington over the Ron Rivera years, right? They have something good and then they faltered away, right? So getting a 2-minute drill gifted to you, thanks to your defense letting the opposing team score, only to get a sack with the first one. Now you get a good play, you get a first down, and then you got a false start.
And you go
normally
backwards.
These drives end in disaster for Washington. It was nice to see this kind of reverse itself, and Washington was able to keep going here.
Yep. So you got a 1st and 15. Washington did have to take a timeout there because of the rule is if under 2 minutes and you have a penalty with the clock moving, you incur a 10-second runoff unless you want to take a timeout. So they took their first timeout there so as not to lose those 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So you got the bunch formation here. Obviously, you got 3 receivers, 1 up top, 2 down here at the bottom, and you got your tight end here. And, of course, looks like Gibby there.
And it's less than a minute, I believe, not 2 minutes.
For the runoff?
Yeah, the runoff is less than a minute. And it's just to discourage, for anyone who wants to know, it's to discourage people, doing a penalty just to stop the clock, right? They want you to use your timeouts and not try to game the system.
Absolutely. All right. So again, look at that protection, by the way. He has all day. And if you let Jahan Dotson run free out there all day, you're going to pay for it.
Yeah, go back to the start of this play. Let's count. Let's just see exactly how long he had. And it's just hard to cover an NFL wide receiver, let alone one of the quality of Jahan Dotson here. So this ball is snapped at 55 seconds, and he doesn't uncork it until 52 seconds. So he had 3+ seconds to hold on to this ball.
Yep.
And that's almost impossible for anybody to cover. And that's Kelly again, by the way, 17.
That's right. Yep. And what a great throw, by the way.
A dart, absolute dart.
What might be even better. And then they had a flag on there. This is Dotson's route. Just dirty. Look at that separation right there. Look at that separation. That's ridiculous. That's a 5-yard separation. I mean, you know how rarely that happens?
Dotson, man, did him dirty.
Right there. And he's close, right? Yep. He's within a yard. And then next thing you know, boom, he's 5 yards separated.
Yeah. They went together at the 50 to at the 45 stays Dotson, and Kelly is at the 40. That is just outstanding route running by Jahan Dotson there, who did kind of go laterally a little too much for my liking, admittedly, but he got the first down. And it was at that point, it was mainly, get down, get to the next play, right? You are under a minute of play. You're in the middle of the field. You don't necessarily want to run off this clock.
Yeah. And of course, hindsight, whatever, maybe if he had gone this way, I don't know. You can't see what's behind.
Yeah, which is actually where he was thrown to, by the way.
Yeah, you're right. And he decided to go against, but that's nitpicky, like you said. All right. So, all right, help me out here. Why do they not have time? Oh, they didn't use their timeout?
They did not use their timeout here. They just ran.
They had to have.
The penalty. Remember, there was a flag on the
penalty.
Play.
That's correct. Thank you.
And they declined the penalty, but it did still stop the clock because the first down throw was more than the penalty. So,
yep. All right. So here you got the 4 receivers, one up top, 2, 3 of them down here, and then a back to stay in as either to block or as a hot route. You see him going out on the hot route. Gibson did. And Howell decides to go up the middle, throws it a little bit behind Dotson on that play, allows Thompson, I think that's Thompson or Washington, to make a play. So that was a good play by the defense. Not one of his best throws, but it was also not a mistake throw either.
Yeah.
So now you got 2nd and 10. That only took 4 seconds, so you got 41 seconds left. And again, you've got 2 up top, 3 down bottom, nobody to help. Defense brings 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's a guy hiding back behind there. And Howell rolled a little bit right and tried to dump it off to his hot route there, which was Dotson again. That was a bad throw.
Yeah, it wasn't the best throw. One of those things, though, that I like from this particular play is, remember, the opening to this drive was a 5 wide as well. And he did not see that rusher coming to him. This time he knows he's going to get pressure from his left, and that's why he rolls out to his right. He has the open player. Dotson is open here. He just does not get his feet underneath him enough to get this pass into Dotson. So it does go incomplete here. 3rd and 10, and this is where we start discussing. Is this 4 down territory, or is this you just get enough yards for a field goal? What's going to happen?
Yep. Here we go on 3rd and 10. Great block right there, and we'll talk about that after. And of course, Dotson wide open. Yeah.
With Terry McLaurin sidelined, you just start to see a tunnel vision to Jahan Dotson. Now, granted, thankfully with that tunnel vision, there is nobody else around him, which is great.
Yep. This is a very vanilla defense with just a typical safety coverage, 2 deep safety there. And watch Robinson come in here and get that block on the blitzer right up the middle. He helps out. Boop. and gives Sam Howell that pocket. Knock this dude down. This dude's way out of the picture. This guy's being taken care of by Cornelius Lucas.
Look at the center here now. So Brian Robinson's block actually negates 2 of the Ravens players right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's just quality pass blocking from your running back, that he's able to go in there and help out your offensive line to the point where he's taken out 2 players with an effective block.
Yep. And then here you see that just as Jahan is going into his break, Howell's already thrown it. He sees this window. They always say those windows of where the receivers are going to be, and he zips it in there. He's got the arm strength, knowing that this guy is not going to be able to come over and break it up, and puts it in the perfect spot for Jahan Dotson for a huge gain. A great play all the way around. So now you've got a first down again. You're at the 32-yard line with 30 seconds left. And again, they're
Washington down to the 1 timeout now.
They were not scared of Baltimore's rush because they're just letting their 5 guys block and maybe sometimes leave a back in there. And look what Baltimore's doing, man. They're bringing some exotic blitzes. Don't tell me they weren't trying to win. But they're bringing in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys here coming from different angles.
This time, Brian Robinson does not get the good block. Sam Howell, just Houdini here, makes his way out. So I think I counted 3, right? So here's Brian Robinson. He's looking for that guy he has to block, and 24 from Baltimore comes in and just gets right by Brian Robinson. There's the first sack avoidance. Here's another arm that tries to grab him. Sam Howell avoids that. And look where his eyes straight downfield, Stoner. Straight downfield. Just looking to see one of those players. I would like to see some of those wide receivers start to move and recognize that this is now a scramble drill.
Yep.
The play is busted. Find open space. And he does have the dump for to be able to dump this off here. But look at his eyes. His eyes are trained to look downfield. And there was one player that understood the assignment, and that was Jahan Dotson, who was all the way up by the end zone. Remember, this is Sam Howell by the 40. Jahan Dotson was by the end zone. He looks back and sees, hey, this is a scramble drill. Let me make this easy for my QB. And we're going to watch the route here by Jahan.
Yep, this is the isolation on Jahan. Obviously wasn't open on that route. And he says, I'm coming back to my quarterback. Zips it right in there. And excellent play by Dotson. Although again, to be nitpicky.
It was a great throw.
Yeah, a little nitpicky. I wish he had thrown him out of bounds. I mean, not thrown it out of bounds, but thrown it to the outside so that he could go out of bounds.
Yeah, stop the clock.
On the inside. But they had 2 timeouts, so that was fine. So they did use, or they had 1 timeout.
Yeah, they used their last timeout there. But now it's 1st and 10. You're at the 11, 21 seconds. Again, still a very long time at the end here. You can take 3 shots to the end zone if you wanted.
Absolutely.
You can, of course, get the first down if you wanted as well.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rushers on this play from Baltimore. And he overthrows Dyami on the first down play. But Baltimore brought 6, but the line held up on that. Now, we had 6 blockers because the running back was helping, but nobody got through. Look at that. He had a clean pocket. He just kind of overthrew Dyami on that route. So now you got 2nd down. And again, they're bringing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys this time. And then Sam just said, my guy's better than your guy. I'm going to throw it up to him. And Dyami did just that. It was absolutely a play that we talk about sometimes about throwing a guy open. This is exactly what he did. He was not open. Okay, when we watch this from up here, here's Dyami up here. Not open at all. And Howell threw it. Look right here. Look at Dyami's covered. He's throwing it right now. Look where Dyami is on the defender. And Sam Howell has thrown it. And and he threw it to Dyami anyway. And Dyami, he said, my guy's better than your guy. And I'm going to give him a chance to win that ball and catch it. And that's exactly what he did. For the touchdown right before the half, here's an isolation again on Dyami. Not open at all. He got himself open on the throw. Fantastic play from Dyami and from Sam Howell.
Yeah, it was real special to see that from Washington, move it down. Good opportunity here in the preseason to work through those. Got a couple things to work on from Sam Howell, but it was just fantastic to see this because this is not something that they've had in a while.
Yeah,
with the ability to throw it down, make those shots downfield. He mainly was a running team here for the last few years. Now you have an arm that can make these big throws. And so that was plenty good to see. Let's move on from the drive of the game now, Stoner, to the go-goes and no-goes. Stoner, right. I'm going to try my best to hold you to one.
Okay.
On both. Okay.
All right.
Let me get your go-go. Actually, let's end on the go-goes because that way we're ending on a positive.
And a positive.
Right? All right. So let's start with your no-go.
Gosh, my no-go on this particular one. There's so many, but I hate to be mean about it, but I'm probably gonna go with Curtis Hodges as my no-go. He just had a huge opportunity in this game, and he couldn't come up big when he needed to. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna go with Curtis Hodges.
Mentioned in the fallers and doubled down on it here. Yeah, there's a couple in that fallers that could be counted as a no-go, especially Wild Goose if you wanted to go that route. But one name we hadn't mentioned was Mac, who had himself. He didn't have a bad game, but he definitely had probably the play that we were most frustrated with.
Yep.
And that was Washington trying to stop Baltimore, and Baltimore got him off sides.
Yep.
Gave him fresh set of downs there, goal to go situation.
And they scored.
And they end up scoring. And so you can't do that. This is a guy who was just picked up this week, and he's probably going to be let go this week as Washington does the shuffleboard of who's going to come in there, largely on the roster right now because Jonathan Allen's injury. Yeah. Sorry, Mac, you're my no-go for this game against the Ravens. Get to your go-go here before I forgot to put up District Diamond, so we will have a positive to end on. But give me your go-go for the game.
I think my go-go for this is I'm going to give it to a group, and it's probably the most maligned group through all of training camp, offseason, and everything. The offensive line was really good in this game. They only had the one sack, which was on Howell, he admittedly, or maybe they had more, but I'm just talking about with the ones anyway.
Sure.
And I thought that they were really good. I don't care that they were playing 2s and 3s or whoever was on the defensive side. They did what they had to do in this game and at least gave you a little bit of hope that they can improve. Now, they didn't play with Leno and they didn't play with Wiley for most of the game, but I thought they acquitted themselves quite well. And in fact, specifically Trent Scott, who played right guard quite a bit of this game. I thought he was pretty impressive. Yeah. I mean, tackle. I thought he was pretty impressive. I thought Trent Scott played really well.
He not only did he play that right tackle spot after Wiley sat down, but as the game progressed, he actually, I believe, moved over to left tackle.
Absolutely.
To cover the blind side of both Jacoby Brissett and Jake Fromm. So looks like they might have another swing tackle to go with Cornelius Lucas to help out this offensive line. They did a fantastic job, Stoner. Really, really happy with the work they did. They did give up those 3 sacks, by the way, 2 on Sam Howell, 1 on Jake Fromm. But my go has to go to the guy who won the kicking duel and won the game for Washington with his leg, and that is going to be Joey Slye here. Special teams did pretty well throughout it. I mean, you had a punter who was able to down the ball right at like the 1 yard line with the gunners going after that as well. You had Tress Way who picked up a ball off the ground and was secured it in time for a field goal connection, and then Joey Slye making the 49-yard game-winning field goal. Special teams unit did a great job this time. And so I'm going to give it to Joey Slye particularly, but we'll move on from there. By the way, neither one of us went with Jacoby Brissett as a no-go there, which is a little surprising. He had a bad game.
Yes. He did not. Yes, he had a bad game.
He had a bad game. And
you limited me this week. I was going to do I'm not going to say Jacoby Brissett, but you wouldn't let me. So
trying to keep you honest here. I will give you also one district diamond though.
Yeah.
Who's your district diamond? For new listeners of Ref the District here, this is your preseason darling who shows up, might not make the roster, but we just all fall in love with because of the things that person's doing. Who's your district diamond for this game against Baltimore?
I'm going to go with a guy who's probably won this award many times, and I'm going to go Jared freaking Patterson. I thought he had a really good game running the ball, and of course that touchdown that he caught in the second half was an important touchdown, and it showed athleticism, and it showed strength as well, quickness, all of that you want. I don't think he's going to make the team. I think he'll possibly
just took all the good graces from EP and threw it out the window.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, but that's what a district diamond is. Somebody who's showing out, but is probably not going to make the team. So I'll go Jared freaking Patterson.
Yeah, for me, it is another running back here. It's Derek Gore, and he did look dynamic running the ball. Had 3 carries for 23 yards, and he looked the part back there, which is what you kind of want to see as far as that, into the roster running back. That's going to be a very, very tightly contested spot. As you got Jonathan Williams, you got Jarrett Patterson, you got Derek Gore. You might even throw in Chris Rodriguez into that mix.
Yeah.
So Washington's got themselves a running back core that I think they like, and they're going to keep several of these guys, probably 3 on the main roster and a few of them on the practice squad, because this is a team that likes to run the ball, and they're going to want to have these running backs fresh. But Derek Gore is my district diamond for the game.
Is Armagh going to count against your running backs if they decide to keep him on the roster, or is he a tight end or whatever? So he might make the team.
Yeah, we'll see how that all goes. We do have the 53-man project that will be airing next week, where we bring in content creators across the Commanders sphere to help us shape that. And then we'll be getting with our Believe team as well. Anthony Armstrong and company are going to help us from the Believe in Commanders crew to actually dissect who did make the 53-man roster. So stay tuned for that here on Ref the District. We're live every Wednesday at 7:30 Eastern. Tune in. Stoner's got a special guest with Trev tomorrow night. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But until next time.
Oh, I'm a howler. 180.
Be a fan.
Here we go.